Hello, 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 everybody. Welcome to this live Q&A. Sorry, I got some weird shadows going on right now. Usually I have another light that helps with the lighting, but that is lent to someone at this exact moment. So, yeah, pardon the very aggressive shadows all over the place. But that's all right. We're not here to look at me. We're here to talk about dog stuff. So, first off, tell me where you're watching from. Maybe tell me your dog's name. I don't know. Tell me something cool. Tell me something about you. We had a lot of really good questions. So I posted earlier in the community about this live Q&A, and a lot of people put in some questions. Sorry, I'm just trying to minimize those shadows as much as possible. We had a lot of good questions coming in about different topics, and we're going to get to as many of those as we can. Also, just a heads up that my wife is going to be coming home from work any moment now, so my dogs might go a little wild for a second, so I might go on a tiny break, say hello to my wife, and then come back. So just be aware that that may occur. Yeah, if you are here and watching, let me know. Let me know where you're at. It's been a while. Things are crazy. Things are crazy with Pupford. Black Friday, Cyber Monday, Thanksgiving, holidays, Christmas parties are starting to happen, holiday parties, all that good stuff. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Devin. I work at Pupford. I help with a lot of the training stuff. I do marketing, website, all that good stuff. Yeah. So we've got Ellen from Little Rock, Arkansas. Dog is Lady Bird Johnson. For some reason, I read that Larry Bird Johnson, but I don't think that's the case. And we've got Jenna Stevens Duffy from Pennsylvania with Willow. There's my wife. Hold on. I promise I'll be back very, very, very shortly. So just for a few seconds, just look at this cute picture of my dogs, and I will be right back. Okay, I'm back. Sorry for that pause. We had a couple more people message in. We've got Liz with Siggy, her 3.5-month-old mini Labradoodle. Lady Bird Johnson was President Lyndon B. Johnson's first lady. Oh man, I'm learning new things every day. That's fantastic. I should know that, but to be honest with you, I did not know that. Yeah, we're not going to go into a history lesson, but here we go. All right, so let's get to some of these questions. I know that some people were making their way here, so we'll kind of they can go back and watch if I answered their question. Okay, so we had Ruth in the community ask. She posted a picture. Of course, I don't have the picture. Sorry. She said, "This is my new baby Luna," which my sister-in-law has a dog named Luna. Great dog name. We have started her training. Sid is coming along well, but can anyone tell me how long toilet training will take? Yeah, so I picked this as one of the questions because I think it's a question that we have a lot of times is how long is insert behavior going to take? How long is potty training going to take? How long is it going to take for my dog to have perfect recall? How long is X, Y, and Z different thing going to take? And I think it's important to remember that, number one, every dog is different. Number two, every trainer is different. So, let's just be realistic. We're all at different kind of skill levels with our ability to train our dogs because, yeah, it is a skill that we have to work on. It is something that takes time and effort on our own end. And not only are our dogs learning and it takes time for them, but it takes time for us to become more effective trainers. I think it's important to remember that you, as the pup parent, really are becoming a trainer. You are going to be yeah, you might have the help of a professional trainer in your home, or you might go to, classes where there's professionals, but all in all, you are going to be the one who's going to be doing the training. And that is why it's so important for you to, take the time to not only do the training, of course, but also to practice your own skills and watch. One of the best ways to become a more effective trainer is to watch other trainers. So whether that is, dropping in on a class, or, a lot of trainers, if you ask, they might be fine with you coming and just watching them, do a group class or something like that. Watching different people on, social media or YouTube. Obviously, a lot of us here watch Zach, and he is a great teacher at helping us become better dog trainers. So that's kind of a roundabout answer. Sorry, a few factors on how long it's going to take your dog to be potty trained is number one. Every dog's different. Number two is how skilled you are as a trainer. Number three would be how consistent you are and how many successful situations you are creating. Because, when you look at potty training specifically, there are, every single time that your dog has an accident in the home, it's a step backwards in their training, because what's happening is they are going to be positively reinforced by going potty inside the house. And the reason being is, when you think about the laws of learning and reinforcement and how it works for our dogs, if your dog needs to go to the bathroom, they have something that's bothering them or whatever, and they go to the bathroom in the house, nothing bad happens. They look around and it was okay. Their needs were met. They went to the bathroom and they were positively reinforced by relieving themselves, the relief of not having to go to the bathroom anymore. So, that is why we harp so much on sticking to a schedule and not worrying so much about potty bells, not worrying so much about, having your dog tell you when they need to go, but focusing more on, sticking to a schedule and creating as many instances of the types of reinforcement that you want, which is them going outside, they get that relief, and then you reinforce them with treats or play or whatever it might be. So that's really going to be the fastest way for your dog to become potty trained and to be completely potty trained is by sticking to a schedule and setting up as many instances where they have successful potty breaks in the right places. So sticking to a schedule. Just going to add this in here. So I'm pulling some questions from a post that we had earlier, but also if you want to ask questions here, that's kind of what, a lot of people do. A lot of people ask questions. Speaking of, we have a question from Jenna Stevens Duffy. And if you're in the private community and you're seeing this or seeing questions that I'm answering, we're also streaming on a couple other platforms right now. That being the Pupford Facebook page, as well as we're on Twitch and on YouTube. Most of the people are on Facebook, but Jenna Stevens Duffy asked, at what age do we change from puppy food to adult food? This is a good question. I will preface it with, just pull down my microphone. I will preface it with, you should talk to your vet because every dog is different, especially depending on their breed. Most dogs, it's around 1 year old, 1 year old. That sounds weird to say. For most dogs, it's around 1 year old when you're going to switch them from puppy food to adult food. But again, above all, I would talk to your vet just because a lot of it is going to depend on their breed and how fast they're growing. Because, really the thing with puppy food, outside of some of it being just marketing, is essentially it's going to have more calories. And it's going to have some different vitamin mixes or blends that are going to help them. So talk to your vet. That would be my answer. I know it's not a great answer. Patty Thornton said, I've used Zach's videos since the day I got my puppy. Heart emoji. Yes, I think a lot of us are in that boat with you of using Zach's videos since day one. So that's good. Hopefully those have been helpful for you. Okay, so we had another question from the community post, but I'm going to throw this up here. So any comment, we're going to do a giveaway on this post. I like to do giveaways every time we do a live if possible. But we are going to be giving away access to 21 impulse control games. If you already have access to that and I choose you as a winner, then we will find something else. But the beauty of 21 Impulse Control games is this, and this giveaway as well, is it's for anybody internationally as well. So whether in the United States or across the world in India or Australia, wherever, you can win this giveaway, which is access to 21 Impulse Control games. So for those of you who aren't familiar, I know we have a lot of kind of new people a lot of new people coming in and out of the community. 21 Impulse Control games is a training course, class, whatever you want to call it, that we offer online at Pupford, and it covers what it sounds like, impulse control. So a lot of our dogs really struggle with having patience and being able to calm down and knowing how to wait for things and not being impulsive, essentially. And so this digital course gives you 21 different games that you can play with your dog that are going to help strengthen their ability to control their impulses. And a lot of that is going to come with age and practice and time, but these games in particular are very powerful for helping with behaviors like jumping on guests or bursting through doors or not waiting for their food or a whole host of different problem behaviors. These impulse control games can be super, super helpful for that. So to enter today's giveaway, all you have to do is leave a comment and you will be entered into that giveaway. So we had Michael on Twitch saying hello with 6 O's. Hello, Michael, as well. Patty Thornton said, my puppy loves training, but he knows basic tricks. I struggle finding new tricks a small breed dog can do. I think a lot of people kind of get into this situation where they feel like, I'm running out of tricks for my dog to do, or I'm running out of, different things that I want to teach my dog. First off, like basic resources. Zach will teach a lot of tricks like via his YouTube channels or on Instagram. We are in the works. It's in the works that we're going to be trying to release like another kind of similar to 21 Impulse Control games with tricks. Another thing that you can think of is a lot of times I think, we run out of like fun tricks that we want to teach our dogs, but a lot of times that we would probably just want to, one thing you can do rather is you can start to try and proof your dog's behaviors in a variety of situations. So what proofing is essentially, okay, my dog knows how to come when called, but do they know how to come when called when we are around other dogs? Or do they know how to come when called when we're, in a different distracting environment, or when they're off leash, or when they are, on a 30-foot lead? Can my dog come when called from 50 feet away? So, really taking those behaviors that your dog already knows and just going like a little bit deeper and wider on those and just saying like, okay, I'm going to try to teach my dog this behavior in every single situation possible. And then in regards to tricks, I would just kind of YouTube some. There's so many really. And that's what's awesome about dog training is if you put in the time and the effort, you can teach your dog to do, like almost anything. It seems like so many things. So, Taylor Woods watching with 2 dogs. Sounds like Xander and Nico. I like those names, from Arkansas. Carly said, my girlfriend and I are moving in together in February. She has a dog named Ollie I got lost with the name Dallas because I was thinking it was a place for a second. She has a dog named Ollie that Dallas really gets along with well, but I was wondering if there's anything we should be prepared for since it will be a lot of change for both of them. Yeah, so that's a great question. I think, giving them as much interaction beforehand as possible is going to be really powerful. And oftentimes it sounds like they already get along well, but for those of you who are trying to introduce your dog to new dogs, or you're bringing another dog into the home, introducing them on a neutral environment is often the best way to do it, just because sometimes when dogs are at home, they can get more territorial or those types of things when another dog kind of enters their domain or whatever. So that would be one thing. Number 2 would be in the very beginning stages, Carly, when you guys first move in together and your dogs are starting to kind of interact and you're, kind of figuring those things out, I would just be very careful with feeding times. I would definitely feed them in separate rooms or if you have to feed them in the same room, make sure you're there watching the entire time, especially in the beginning. Just because a lot of times a lot of problems with multi-dog households root between like resource guarding, whether it be food or toys or treats or whatever it might be. So, and mealtime is often one of the biggest times when that will occur. So I would definitely recommend to monitor their meal times and have them be separate at first and just kind of watch how things are going. And then even I would apply that kind of same theory with anytime you're going to give them like a chew, or if you're going to be doing training or those types of things, just, or, you know, when they're playing with toys, just kind of be extra aware and be, I guess, like more babysitting ish in the beginning, just to make sure that they're getting along well. And I do think it's important as well to give them each kind of their safe space, just because, you know, I really do think that dogs are a lot like humans, in a sense that like they like to have their own area. They like to, you know, sometimes they just need space and they want to go away. Like I have 3 dogs in my house, and they each kind of have their own area where you can tell like if they've just like too much is going on, or they're not comfortable, or they just want to like kind of have some space. They each have their own little area where they'll go to. And for some people that's their crate. For other people it's, you know, a specific part of the room, or, you know, their own bed, that type of thing. For my dog, it's in the dog door. She'll go and just lay in the dog door. It's hilarious. Like half in, half out. It's one of my favorite things. But yeah, so just making sure that they have a place that they're comfortable with, that they know is just theirs, and they can kind of relax and not be having to worry about the other dog or people. So those types of things. So hopefully those ideas help you out, Carly. Hopefully that goes well with kind of merging 2 dogs into one household. We had Linda from Davie, Florida. She says, "Mom to Bella and Bailey." Thanks for coming on, Linda. Okay, so I'm going to get to another question. Okay, I didn't. Okay. Okay, so we had a question from Jennifer Drew, and this is a question I wanted to talk about because I'm pretty passionate about this. I think it's, I have a lot of friends like who will come over who aren't really dog people, and they'll see me like how I prepare my dog's meal times, or like, you know, how I approach mealtime with my dogs, and they are just like, wait, what are you doing? This is so strange. So the question is from Jennifer Drew, and she said, "I have a 5-month-old golden retriever, and she sucks her food down, does not chew it. She's getting all her permanent teeth, so I wondered if you have any suggestions for slowing her eating, and when do they start chewing their food?" Yeah, this is super common, I think, especially for retrievers. I can say the same about my labs. I have a puggle who scarfs down his food. So here are a couple things that you can do. Number one, I'll give you a few points here. Number one, never underestimate the power of mealtime as a training opportunity. So if you are feeding your dog a kibble, you can often use part of their meal for your training routines, you know, for your dedicated training sessions, especially because using food as a reinforcer and as, you know, even kind of like a lure and those types of things is super powerful when your dog is more hungry. So if you use, for example, you say, okay, I want to train before the full mealtime, and you allocate a quarter of the breakfast or a half of her breakfast or whatever it is to use as training, not only does that slow down the eating because you are kind of dictating how often she's able to get pieces of kibble or, you know, the rewards, but it's also just going to make her think. And really, I think most of us, I would go on a limb and say like 2/3, 3/4 of like pup parents kind of disregard mealtime as like they don't fully use mealtime for what it could be, because mealtime for our dogs could be, number one, it could be an opportunity to learn. It can be a time for them to engage their mind. It can be a time for you to improve your relationship with your dog. So, you know, using it as part of their training is a great idea for helping slow them down. Another idea, you know, because realistically, you're probably not going to use all of their entire meal for a training session. So, you know, with whatever food extra you have, I love to use Kongs. Kongs are, again, a super underrated training tool. You know, they're not just something to fill with a bunch of peanut butter and let your dog, you know, gain some weight, basically. Like, you know, using your mealtime with Kongs is a great way to do it. So something that I do, Jennifer, is so when I make my dogs dinner, so for example, I just fed them before I started this live. So when I made their dinner, I pulled out, I filled from their bowl a Kong. Sorry. So I took a Kong and I filled the Kong with part of their meal, and then I put it in the freezer. And then I also did that this morning. And so, basically what I do is I have a running, a Kong that's always frozen for my dogs in the freezer, so that, when I leave for the day or whatever it might be, I can give them that frozen Kong, which has their food in it from their meals. So the reason I like doing it that way is, number one is they're getting the same amount for each mealtime because, I have it rotating. And for example, like I feed them their breakfast, and then as I'm leaving for the day, I will give them the previous night's dinner Kong that was in the freezer. So what that, does is it avoids excessive calories, because I think a lot of people will fill Kongs, and I used to do this a lot. Like you'd fill them with a bunch of peanut butter or a bunch of like other stuff that's like just too many calories for your dog. So that's another way to help slow down their feeding is, freezing parts of their meals and putting it in a Kong and making them work for it. And then even if you don't want to freeze it, just another thing that I try to do with every meal is, outside of the frozen one, is I will just fill the, more of their food into the Kong, and I will place the Kong in the middle of their bowl. So what that does is, it makes them have to eat around the Kong a little bit. So that's naturally going to slow them down. But then additionally, they have to get the food out of the Kong. So it's like, again, another opportunity to engage their mind, slow down their eating, make them work for it a little bit more, that type of thing. So those are a couple ideas. And then you can also get puzzle feeders. You can get things like wobblers. You can do like snuffle mats and stuff for parts of their meals. Like there's so many opportunities when we're feeding our dogs to make it more of an engaging experience versus just like throwing their bowl down and saying, okay, go scarf it down. Because, what happens there a lot is they'll eat too fast, they'll get bloated, or they'll throw up, or whatever it might be. So those are a few ideas for you, Jennifer. Okay. Someone else on Twitch said, hola. Hola, back to you. That's all I really know in Spanish. I don't really speak Spanish. I can understand a little bit, but okay. We had a couple other questions coming in here. If I miss your question, I apologize. Sometimes the way Facebook pushes things on my screen, I lose them, or sometimes I just don't have to get time to get all of them. Okay, Amy Lumley. Hopefully you're still on here, Amy. Amy asked, and just a reminder, again, you can see the text here. Leave any comment to enter today's giveaway, and that'll be access to 21 Impulse Control games. Let me just give you like a real quick overview of what 21 Impulse Control games is. It's 21 games, and they're broken down into like levels, and each of those levels is going to have, text instructions as well as like GIFs that are going to kind of show you what to do. So this GIF that I'm going to show you next on the screen here is from one of the games that just helps your dog not burst through doors. It's a common problem for a lot of people. It's a very dangerous problem as well. So this is just like one of the little GIFs from 21 Impulse Control games. Yeah, that's just one of the GIFs. But each game and each level of the game will have multiple of those GIFs with instructions going along with it. I really made an effort to kind of break it down into like as simple as possible. Like, okay, this is step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. And like, once you accomplish this, move on to like level 2 of this game. And then step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, move on to level 3. And this is when you know you'd mastered it, and all that stuff. I really tried to make it as consumable as possible to help you, consumable as possible to help you improve your dog's impulse control. Okay, here's a question from, I'm going to take that text off just because it's kind of bothering me, from Amy Robinson Lumley. So Amy said, my family is coming to visit for Christmas with their baby and have never met my 11-month-old dog, who gets very, very excited when seeing new people. What can I do to help make the meeting easier? Okay. Dogs and babies, especially babies who aren't used to dogs and dogs who aren't used to babies. If it's possible for you to get another friend, family member, neighbor, someone who has a baby that you can start getting your dog used to babies beforehand, that would be powerful. Sorry, every time I do these lies, like my nose itches and it's so annoying. Yeah, so if you can set up an instance where you have babies in the home beforehand, that would be helpful. Number 2 is just going to be controlling the environment. So I would recommend when they first come over, well, if you know they're going to get there at 5 o'clock or whatever it might be, try and tire your dog out before they get there. Do some physical exercise, do some mental exercise, do some training. Just really try and make it so that they're in as calm of a state of mind as possible. And then from there, I would additionally, like when you know that they're first coming over, I would probably make it so that your dog does not have the ability to interact with that baby straight away, or even the people. And you can accomplish this by using baby gates, or having them in a different room, or maybe having your dog in the crate. You know your dog best. So that would be, just making sure that you are in control of when your dog is actually going to have interaction with that baby. Because I think the biggest problem that we make as pup parents is we think, oh, my dog's nice, like nothing would ever happen. But you just don't know how they're going to respond to a baby, if they haven't been around them a lot. So making sure that those greetings are, providing a barrier between your dog and the baby. And then even then, when you do first start to introduce them, have your dog on a leash. I especially, I have a leash that has like a handle at like 2 feet. Just kind of gives you a little bit of extra control. And just make it, maybe have the baby in the family member's arms, and you're in control of your dog, and so you can kind of control how close they can get to each other, and that type of thing. But those are just a couple ideas to make the meeting a little bit easier. And above all, like I just wouldn't, even when you feel like your dog's probably comfortable with the baby, like if it's their first real interaction with them, I would just always be there to monitor no matter what. A lot of unfortunate situations can be avoided just by, controlling the environment and making sure that your dog doesn't have free reign to where the baby is. And that obviously can take some effort on, on your part, and it takes being a little bit more conscious of what's going on. But okay, so we have nice. Okay, give me 1 second here. Okay. Sorry, just had to we're testing out like streaming on different platforms like Twitch, if you're familiar with it, and YouTube, just to like, try and get a little bit more exposure. And a lot of those channels just have like a lot of different audience, people just there to kind of troll and stuff. So you got to weed through that. Okay, so we had a question here from Perseus Truffley. The question was, how much of your day do you think you should be dedicated to your dog? Exercise, training, etc. And when is it okay for you to relax and just do your own thing? This is a good question. I think we've all been there when you have that thought. You're just thinking, okay, when is my dog? Where's the off switch on this dog? I need to just relax. So it's hard to give like one specific answer for this. But I would say that it is going to depend on your dog, their age. Obviously, like younger puppies, they're just going to need a little bit more of your time and energy. Also, the breed of your dog. Some dogs are just naturally like a little bit more, they like to do their own thing. They're more of like kind of, I hate to use the word couch potato, but they just like relaxing a little bit more. They don't need as much exercise. So it's really going to depend. But ways that you can set this up to where you are able to relax is, again, following a schedule and sticking to it from an early age for your dog. The 30-day Perfect Pup class has a great schedule that you can follow of, when your dog should be having time in their crate just to relax, because our puppies, they need a lot of sleep. Puppies sleep a lot, and they should be sleeping a lot. A lot of times when they don't get enough sleep, that's when they can become a little bit crazier and they're less attentive, and kind of like toddlers when they're when they don't get enough sleep, they get cranky and they have tantrums and all that stuff. Oh man, so that's just something to be aware of, that you can set up opportunities where your dog has their quiet time or their alone time in the crate, and you're just going to be able to leave them in there and take a nap. But in regards to like how much of your day should be dedicated to your dog, I mean, again, a lot of it's going to depend on your situation. So I have 3 dogs. I have a 13-and-a-half-year-old Puggle. I have an almost 3-year-old Lab, and then I have about like a 2.5, just over 2-month-old, or 2-year-old, Lab. So I have 2 Labs that are still technically in the puppy stage, and then an older senior dog. And I play fetch with my Labs for at least an hour and a half a day. Because that's just how they are. They're Labs. They have a lot of energy. They've been bred, you got to look back at the history of dogs, and, especially specific breeds like retrievers. They've been bred to be working dogs and to be doing things and have a job all day long. And, I think that's why a lot of us struggle with just how much time it takes to be a pup parent is, there are specific breeds that they just need our attention and our focus. And that's just part of the experience, I guess. In regards to how much I train per day, or how much you should be looking at training per day, again, really going to depend on your dog's behaviors and where you're at in their training. But for most people, I would say at least 20 to 30 minutes a day for training. As your dog gets older, you might, go a little bit laxed on that. But in the beginning stages, it's going to take a lot of time. And then even beyond that, like even when you're not exercising or training, like when you have a puppy, you got to be fully aware of what they're doing at all times, because if you give them too much freedom, that's where they're going to go and destroy things, or they're going to pee in the corner, or they're going to chew up your TV cord, or any host of unwanted behaviors. So it depends on your dog is the simple answer. And your question of when is it okay for you to relax and just do your own thing, this is like outside of dog training, but you've got to have those moments every day in your life, like dogs aside, right? So whatever it takes for you to have that time to relax, often it's, if you have a young puppy, it might only be when they're napping, or when they're, in their crate being calm or something. But it's a good question. So Douglas Halby asked, Douglas Halby asked, sorry, lost the question. Douglas said, what is your best high value treat that you can use in agility training on a dirt floor surface? I don't want something that picks up dirt. My dogs are BB and Q, and we are on Long Island, New York. Good question. I'm very, very biased, but I would say, give me a sec here. My wife just left, I think. Give me one sec. I'll be right back. Promise. All right. Thanks for your patience pausing there. My wife left, came back with her friend, left again, so the dogs were going a little wild, but it's all right. That's life. I should have grabbed this while I was gone. Dang it. Hold on. I won't do the BRB screen. Just hold on one sec. Promise. What are you doing? What are you guys doing in here? Step on my computer. So in regard to, hold on. Hey, can you back up real quick? Oh, that's a laptop. All right, in regards to Douglas's question about training treats, like I said, I'm pretty biased. So, yeah, here I'm going to show you the Pupford treats. So his question in particular was ones that, wouldn't necessarily pick up dirt. Like I would assume those are ones that are like kind of sticky or whatnot. So these are the Pupford treats. My dogs are just out in full force right now. Focus. There we go. It's kind of hard to see them. But those are a couple of the chicken treats, and then here's a couple of the beef liver treats. So these treats are simple ingredient. And you can see they're not like greasy or anything. They're pretty like firm, but you can still break them apart if needed on some of the bigger pieces. But these are all pretty low calorie. My dogs are just going, yeah, do you want one of these? Let me show you what I'm dealing with. Not dealing with. I don't deal with them. They're great animals. They're both just dreaming. There you go. Chomp, 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 chomp. Those are my dogs. That's Sunny and Scout. They love these treats. They're not going to leave me alone the rest of this live now. I've made a terrible mistake. What was I thinking? Okay, that's it. Thanks, though. Yeah, that's all. They're still just sitting there all the same. Yeah, so I highly recommend the Pupford treats. Again, of course, I work there. Of course, I'm going to recommend them, but I actually do love them. I actually do use them. I said in a comment earlier that I would put up our treats against pretty much any other training treat out there. I've done a lot of research and compared a lot of different treats, and I would go on a limb and say like ours are up there in regard to low calorie. They all have 1 calorie or less per treat. They're all either 3 ingredients or less. Our sweet potato treats are just 1 ingredient. We don't use any weird things like sugar and molasses, and I'm not making that up because a lot of those other popular treats out there have things like sugar and molasses in them, which is weird. And so many of them as well, they're a beef treat, but then beef is like the 9th ingredient. It just doesn't make sense to me. I am super biased. I will say that right off the bat, but it just doesn't make any sense to me. I will recommend these treats to my end. All right, here, you got to see them all again. This is Buddy as well. Buddy made his way over here. There's Buddy. There's 13-year-old Buddy. Look at that boy. He has little Dobby ears. I love it. Yep, there's Sunny. Here you go, Scout. This is them. You can see some Christmas presents in the background, but Buddy is such a good dog. He is 13 and a half. You see all that gray on his face, but he is a good boy. Okay, all done. I don't have any more. Yep, you can lick my hand. That's it. I'm sorry. Okay, thanks. Yep, there you go. Those are my dogs. 3 dogs. It is amazing. They are quite the handful, but I love them. Okay, so some of the other questions that we had. Okay, dogs. You're gonna step on my laptop, and then everything's gonna go wild. So let's calm that a little bit. Okay, we're back. Okay, so Lynette Sorsdahl, hopefully you're still on there, said, "What should I do about my puppy biting? My puppy is just over 8 weeks old." Your puppy's going to keep biting you for a while. That is just the nature. Hey, can I help you? Didn't think so. That is just the nature of puppies. They bite. I think Zach puts it best where he says your goal should not be to stop puppy biting overnight. It should be to gradually decrease the frequency of it occurring. And you're going to accomplish that through basically 2, maybe 3 ways. Number 1 is going to be when it happens, redirecting to a training session, or when it happens, redirecting to something that they should bite on, like a nice beef tendon chew or like a toy or something like that. Number 3 is sometimes you need to, give them a little bit of a timeout. Like I mentioned earlier, sometimes when puppies get really bitey or like they nip too much, sometimes it's a sign of them being overtired. So that sometimes it means they need a nap. A couple other things that can really help with the puppy biting, Lynette, is making sure that your dog has plenty of interaction with other dogs and puppies, because that'll give them a lot of opportunity to kind of get that energy out and also be learning proper biting behavior and that type of thing. But, I hate to be maybe the bearer of bad news, but puppies just bite. That's just how it is. You kind of got to just fight through it and work on that redirection and be consistent. I wish I had better advice for you, but that's just the truth. I'm telling you, I'm not lying. And if you want to go and see some more detailed, I would follow what's in the 30-day Perfect Pup class, but also, if you go into the community that we're in right now and you search in the, Pupford Facebook community, if you search biting, there are, I'm not exaggerating, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of posts about biting. I'm dead serious. So go in there and you'll find some good advice as well. Okay, so we had a comment from Alina who said, my 2 dogs love the beef liver treats. So glad to hear that. Okay, we have a question here from Kayla Lacey. Kayla said, what's the line between tiring out your dog and making them overtired? How do you know what to look for? I'm taking my dog to an event this week and I want to make him tired before we go so he's more attentive, but I don't want him so overtired like he's acting out like a little toddler would, like you said. Yeah, that's a good question. I think I know that a lot of my answers are it'll depend on your dog, but that really is the truth because I thought I heard someone barking. A lot of it will depend on your dog, and you will kind of know because I think the fine line is, you want your dog to be, man, how do you even put it into words? Because, I know it with my dogs, right? I know when they're in a good state of mind. I would say it's definitely going to take, depending on your dog's breed, 20 to 30 minutes of, vigorous exercise to, get them to where they're starting to get tired. But you don't want them to the point where, they're so tired that they're laying down or they're, needing a break, that type of thing. And I definitely think, if you're trying to get them a little bit more tired for, an event where you're wanting their focus a little bit better, I would focus as well on the mental exercise side of things, because I don't think you can really over exercise your dog mentally. So that's one thing to be doing to give them a little bit more brain work that day, whether you use, Kongs or puzzle toys, or you're doing trick training or whatever it might be, just to kind of get their brain flowing a little bit more. So hopefully that's helpful to you. Okay, so we had another question here. I probably have time for a couple other questions here. Oh, sorry. I'm going to just throw this up on the screen again. That any comment today will enter you to win access to 21 Impulse Control games. That is today's giveaway. So any comment enters you. Okay, probably our last question here is going to be, it's come from a couple people. So we had it from Stephanie, said she has a 8-month-old Blue Nose Pit Bull mix with King Corso. She jumps on me all the time. What will help her stop? And then we also had Beth LaMonica say, how do I stop my Ruby from jumping on me? Okay, so yeah, the jumping issue, very, very difficult, especially because oftentimes we incidentally reinforce the jumping behavior by giving our dogs attention, putting our hands on them, because really that's what they're looking for, right? that's what your dog is looking for when they're jumping up on you. Like, your face is where the action is. Like, that's where you talk. That's where your eyes are. You know, and so that's what they're trying to get to. Hi, Scout. What's up, pup? That's what they're trying to get to. They're trying to get your attention. And so when they do jump on you and you put your hands on them, you say, oh, Scout, Scout, Scout. Like, you're inadvertently like giving them what they want, which in turn is reinforcing them. So that is one thing to look for. You know, look at ways in which you may be accidentally reinforcing that bad behavior, like how I just described of, you know, putting your hands on them when they jump, or even saying their name. Like that attention is a way it's reinforcing them, and it is going to make them jump more. So what a lot of people do is when your dog jumps on you, a lot of people will give the advice of, you know, turning your back and kind of just going stiff and being boring and waiting for them to put their paws back on the ground. One of the games that's in 21 Impulse Control games, which one person will win access to that today, is what I like to call the 4 paws game. So essentially what this is, and the way I teach it in the games is to play it with another person, but you're going to get your dog on a leash, and you're going to have them get into a sit and have someone, and you want to do this inside a home, right, where it's less distracting, and have someone else who you know that they're going to want to jump on. So maybe, you know, if you can make it so that it's an actual guest versus someone who's always in your home, it'll make it more realistic. Have them stand about 6 feet away, get your dog into a sit and a stay. So first off, like, you need to have those behaviors down pretty well. Like, if your dog doesn't understand the concept of sit and stay, it'll likely be very difficult for you to teach them not to jump. So those are like kind of 2 precursor behaviors that are important to be working on as you're working on overcoming jumping. So get them into a sit and a stay. Sometimes I like to do a look at me as well. And then have the person take a few steps towards you. If your dog breaks their sit stay, you're going to have the person immediately turn around. You can even have them take a step away, but immediately turn around, and you're going to give your, what I like to call a no word. You're not yelling at your dog. You're not screaming at them. It's just or nope, or whatever you use to mark an incorrect behavior. And then you're going to redirect them back into a sit stay. And then you're going to continue that process, because what's going to happen is, you know, you're kind of using 2 quadrants of the learning, 2 parts of the learning quadrant for dog training. You know, you are, you know, they want the attention of that guest. And so when that person turns around, you know, you're taking away something from them. It's what we call negative punishment. Again, don't be alarmed. I'm not talking about punishment. I'm saying in the terms of dog training, punishment means doing something to try and decrease the behavior from occurring. And so in this case, the person is taking away their attention from the dog. So you're negative, which is taking something away, and punishment, which is like they don't get that anymore. Just like, you know, when you were a kid and you backtalked, your mom said, okay, you don't get the Nintendo anymore, because then you as a child learn in the future, oh, I should not backtalk, because if I do, then I'm not going to get the Nintendo, which is something that I really, really want. Same concept for our dogs. So they do that, they back off. So that's like kind of one side of how you're teaching your dog to not jump. And then what you're going to do is, like, maybe they take 1 step, and if your dog keeps their stay, reward them. Mark it, reward. When I say mark, I mean say yes or good, or use a clicker, whatever you use to mark behaviors. Have them take another step. If they get another step and your dog stays, reward it, mark and reward. Up until the person can get right up next to your dog. And that might take some time, right? But what you're teaching your dog, if you work on this consistently and you work on this game, is you're teaching your dog that when they leave that stay, or when their paws come off the ground, you know, what they're wanting goes away. But when they do what you're asking to them, good things continue to happen. The person comes closer, and they even get treats. It makes it that much better. So that's like a quick overview of the 4 paws game. And in 21 Impulse Control games, which I will, if you're interested in checking this out, I'll drop a link here and pin it. How do I do that? Pin. If you want to check that out, I go into a lot more detail on how to play the 4 paws game, but that's like the general concept of it. But then you just continue to add it to where eventually you're getting the person right up next to the dog, and they're petting them. And when if your dog breaks their stay and their paws come off the ground, the person turns their back, takes a step away. So that's one game that you can play with your dog that's super powerful to get them to stop jumping. And then additionally, one thing that I always talk about this when people ask about jumping is you have to be consistent. You cannot expect your dog, especially a young puppy, to understand like, I can jump this time, but I can't jump at this time, and I can jump on this person, but I can't jump on this other person. It needs to just be consistency. It needs to be no jumping ever at all, ever. And what I mean by that is like, okay, so a lot of us, we live in a home and we have maybe a spouse or a partner and children and, all these people, roommates and people living in the home. And, if one person lets the dog jump up on them whenever and they don't care and they don't, do the proper redirection or, turning their back or waiting for the dog to put their paws on the ground to engage with them, then what's going to happen is your dog's going to get confused and they're never going to learn. So that's half the battle, is getting everybody in your home on the same page with these training ideas and with the concept of, we don't pet the dog if their paws are off the ground. We only pet when all 4 paws are on the ground. The second they come up, you turn your back or you stop petting. So getting everybody consistent in your home is going to be one of the most difficult things. But it's going to be super, super important. So those are a couple ideas on how to help with jumping. Hopefully that is helpful. And now I'm going to pick our giveaway winner. I know you guys are all so excited. Tamra Rials said, I hope this is posted to replay. It should go into the community and even on the Facebook page. I think that it will. It should post. And then Stephanie Eubank said, I'm new to the group. How often does this happen? That's a good question. I used to do them way more consistently. I'll be honest, like, life happens and sometimes they don't happen as often as I would like, but I try to do them once a week. Typically they're on Sunday evenings, sometimes Monday evenings. But I do try and do them once a week. I'm trying to get back into that habit. But yeah, hopefully that is helpful for you. So I am writing down the winner. Let me make sure I spelled it right. Okay. So today's winner, who will get access to 21 Impulse Control games, is Lynette Sorsdahl. So congrats. I'm going to tag you in a post here. So Lynette, you are the winner. Please send a direct message to Pupford. So to like the Pupford brand Facebook page. Not to me, just because sometimes it gets lost in like the Facebook messaging filters. Send us a message and we will get you access to 21 Impulse Control games, which I think you asked a question earlier about biting. Some of that will help. Just general, helping your dog understand how to control their impulses is helpful for so many behaviors. If you were not a winner, next time. And feel free to go check out 21 Impulse Control games. I dropped a link there where you can purchase access. When you purchase, you get lifetime access. You can access it from, your phone, your computer, your tablet, whatever. Anything that you have an internet connection on, you can access. And I'm going to make one more plug. I really, here's the thing. We try to be pretty non-promotional in this community. But to be honest, we probably should be more promotional because the stuff we're promoting is super amazing and super helpful for you and your dog. So, one of which, we talked about some products earlier. We talked about the training treats. We carry some chews as well. We just launched some new jerky treats. We have a lot to offer on the Pupford site. But we also have the Pupford app. If you have not checked this out, please be sure to go check out the Pupford app. If you go on the website, one of the things in the main navigation menu is the words free app. And you can click on that and you can download it for Android or iOS. It works on both platforms. Essentially what we did is we took the 30-day Perfect Pup class, we put it into an app, and we also added like an option where you can train by behavior. So you can say, you can say, I need to work on biting, and there'll be a video with some steps, with some, training tools that can help with biting, those types of things. So if you have not already, please go download the Pupford app. You're going to love it. It's honestly, I personally even like, it's just nice having it a little bit more accessible and, having a dedicated app on your phone to say, okay, I'm going to work on some training and these are some things that I can learn and things that I can work on. So hope you enjoyed this live. Again, if you, just one more, not even a plug, but just if you're in this community, so there are hundreds and hundreds of posts, thousands and thousands of comments per day. And, we're a pretty small team here at Pupford. And so we do our best to monitor it, and to, stay on top of things. But if you see things that are breaking the rules, whether it's people being rude or, people posting spammy content or people, recommending, aversive methods, whatever it might be, you can report every single post and every single comment in the community. There's the little 3-dot menu. You click it and then there's an option it says like report to admin or something like that. That is so helpful for us. And we would really appreciate if you guys do that. It helps us so much to stay on top of the community and help it be a really positive learning experience for people. One last question. Stacy LaRue said, does the app link to the account so I can use the Impulse games on it? Not yet. I know. I wish it did. We are working on it. We are hoping to launch. We are hoping for that to be a thing within the next couple months, I will say, to be conservative. And to buy stuff, Stacy, that is also coming very, very soon. So what we did with the app, Stacy, just so you kind of know, and for other people to have context, we really did put a lot of time and effort into the app to make it as good of an experience as possible. But we also wanted to get something out quickly that could be, useful for people and help people train their dog more effectively. And then, we're going to be adding on features and continuing to build it as time goes on. So that the purchasing of products is, hopefully only a couple weeks away. And then, the ability to access 21 Impulse control games and other digital training courses and stuff within the app is also hopefully within the next couple of months. But we are working on these things and we're always open to your guys' feedback, whether that be the community, whether that be the app, whether that be our website, whatever. I'll tell you what, we're a pretty open book. I don't know of a lot of brands that, and I'm not trying to say this to just like toot our own horn, but like, I don't know of a lot of brands that are like as open and transparent and just want to be available. And we're here to answer questions as much as we can, like, because we know how hard it is to raise a pup. It is so difficult. We get it, and that's why we're here, and that's why we're trying to give free training and create products that are helpful and are going to help you raise a happy, healthy, and well-behaved dog. So again, I hope you enjoyed this live. The winner, Lynette, message us. I think you said maybe you already have it. Message us anyways, and we'll work it out and we'll get you something of similar value. But thanks so much for being on this live, and we will talk to you guys next